So now this whole fat shaming thing that started the whole argument from Ryan came from this guy, the husband. So he freaks out. Shame on this dude. Shame on this dude.
What I'm thinking is what Brian Friedman is going to say is, so you were upset that you say your wife was harassed. And he's going to say yes. And he's going to say, yes.
This is where it all came from? Through hearsay, through that? And then just to focus a second, again, allegedly, if this guy is the one who did it, and you're telling me your client now, Justin, who's become your training, is talking to you about concerns or whatever. Who knows how he asked it, or if he was just brought it up in passing, like, oh man, I got this big lifting scene that I got to do, and I don't know how much she weighs. Like, can I lift that much? A few weeks before filming began, and less than 4 months after Miss Lively had given birth, Miss Lively was humiliated to learn that Mr. Baldoni secretly called her fitness trainer without her knowledge or permission and implied that he wanted her to lose weight in 2 weeks. Mr. Baldoni told the trainer that he had asked because he was concerned about having to pick Miss Lively up in a scene for the movie, but there was no such.
The once untouchable Hollywood power couple may be showing cracks. Rumors are circulating that Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's famously polished marriage is feeling the strain amid Blake's ongoing PR turmoil. According to sources cited in entertainment circles, Ryan, usually the king of charm and self-aware humor, may be reaching the limits of his patience. Insiders claim he's been creating some distance, pouring more energy into solo projects and spending quieter time with their kids, far from the swirling media storm. For years, the two have been the internet's definition of relationship goals. The witty Instagram exchanges, the coordinated red carpet moments, the united front. But those close to the couple suggest that behind the curated photos and playful banter, a very different dynamic may be unfolding in private.
She was humiliated to learn that Mr. Baldoni secretly called her fitness trainer without her knowledge or permission, and yada, yada, yada. Okay. Well, then why did you introduce him to him, your friend, celebrity trainer, who would later become Baldoni's trainer as well?
Friends close to the couple claim Reynolds may be quietly reassessing his future after watching his wife's public image spiral. And they say, it's not hard to see why. Ryan's entire persona, built on authenticity, transparency, and self-effacing humor, clashes sharply with a colder, more calculated version of Blake that critics argue has emerged in recent months. But what exactly pushed their once golden marriage toward the edge? According to industry watchers, the real turning point traces back to one explosive moment in Hollywood media, the article that ignited a firestorm. In December 2024, the New York Times published a widely discussed piece titled, "We Can Bury Anyone Inside a Hollywood Smear Machine." The article framed Blake Lively as the target of a coordinated campaign, describing alleged tensions on the It Ends With Us set and suggesting she had been subjected to a damaging Whisper Network led, according to the piece, by co-star Justin Baldoni's camp. It was emotional, persuasive, and perfectly aligned with Blake's long-standing America's sweetheart image. The narrative landed with force, instantly dominating entertainment headlines and social media discourse. But critics later pointed out something they felt the article glossed over. Neither the Times nor Blake ever disclosed whether she had been directly interviewed for the piece. That omission, observers say, raised new questions and opened the door to a very different interpretation of the story.
Baldoni and the trainer start collaborating with the trainer, delivering his workout program on the 22nd. Hey, blank, I think I know who this is. Justin Baldoni here, new friend of Blake's. We are working together on a film. I'll be headed your way for the first week of March for 4 months. Great to meet you, Justin. Happy to discuss. Let's jump on a call.
4 months after the article dropped, Blake stuck to the same rehearsed line whenever anyone asked about her involvement. They figured it out themselves. I never spoke to them. She rode that narrative like a seasoned pro, letting the wave of public sympathy insulate her from scrutiny. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni's reputation was taking serious hits, portrayed in online conversations as controlling, predatory, even toxic, largely because the Times piece seemed to give those insinuations credibility. The twist no one saw coming. Then came yesterday's courtroom moment. Tense, crowded, every eye locked on her. Under oath, with nowhere left to hide behind PR polish or friendly platforms, something shifted. Blake Lively, who had repeatedly insisted she never spoke to the reporters, reportedly admitted, "Actually, I did give them an interview. 5 words. but they landed with the force of a dropped chandelier. The room reportedly fell silent, one of those heavy, stunned silences that feels like the air has been vacuumed out. It was the kind of moment when the illusion breaks, when the magician's sleight of hand is suddenly exposed under harsh light. And it wasn't just a harmless oversight or a detail lost to time. Critics were quick to point out the significance. This was the same actress who had firmly, repeatedly, and publicly denied being directly involved in the very article that many believe contributed to the collapse of her co-star's public image. To observers, it felt less like a slip and more like the unraveling of an entire narrative.
This changes the context tremendously. Now, in her complaint as well, I just want to make sure we put it all out there. As they say here, later text messages, Mr. Baldoni referred to Miss Lively's trainer as a damn spy and sought to plant stories to portray his concerns as being motivated by his lower back pain. She fails to mention the most of it. The reason he thought that is because this trainer that Blake Lively, this guy allegedly, who Blake Lively suggested Justin be his trainer, was Ryan and Blake's clear friend.
Critics argue that Blake Lively's credibility collapsed because of three major contradictions. She repeatedly claimed she never spoke to the New York Times before later admitting she did. She presented herself as a reluctant victim who never intended to go public. And she framed Justin Baldoni as the mastermind of a smear campaign while appearing to benefit from one herself. The timeline only fueled doubts. Negative press about Baldoni surfaced in August 2024. A crisis PR expert was hired in September. Blake filed her lawsuit in November. The Times article dropped in December, and by June 2025, she acknowledged she'd been interviewed for it. Analysts also point out that her lawsuit reportedly included very few details about the misconduct she discussed publicly and instead focused almost entirely on claims that Baldoni damaged her reputation.
And like celebrity trainer who was clearly aligned to them. So now this whole fat shaming thing that started the whole argument from Ryan came from this guy, this trainer who's clearly closer to them and wants them and showing them off, pinning them all over his Instagram to get other celebrities so he can get more people to join his gym or whatever.
As one legal expert put it, it's like suing someone for burning down your house, but only mentioning they tracked mud on your carpet. Monday's legal bombshell. Blake's confession wasn't some noble act of transparency. It was panic in its purest form. This Monday, June 23rd, Brian Friedman, the legal powerhouse representing Baldoni, is set to file an amended complaint that sources say will leave no stone unturned. Emails, texts, timelines, all meticulously assembled to tell a very different story than the one Blake's been selling. Insiders with knowledge of the complaint suggest it will directly implicate Blake and Ryan Reynolds in a months-long coordination with the New York Times to smear Baldoni. Blake's sudden confession, not a coincidence. She saw the tsunami approaching and decided to admit to getting her feet wet before the wave could wash her away completely. This confession wasn't her moment of truth. It was a performance worthy of Sundance, a last-ditch effort to control a narrative spiraling beyond her reach. The Hollywood PR machine exposed. This scandal isn't just about Blake Lively. It's pulled back the curtain on celebrity PR tactics that typically remain hidden from public view.
This is where it all came from? Through hearsay, through that? And then just to focus a second, again, allegedly, if this guy is the one who did it, and you're telling me your client now, Justin, who's become your training, is talking to you about concerns or whatever. Who knows how he asked it, or if he was just brought it up in passing, like, oh man, I got this big lifting scene that I got to do, and I don't know how much she weighs. Like, can I lift that much?
A veteran entertainment journalist, speaking anonymously, says the situation is unlike anything Hollywood has seen, arguing that Blake Lively's alleged tactics became so aggressive they couldn't remain behind closed doors. In the digital age, especially with platforms like BookTok amplifying fan reactions, critics say Blake may have underestimated how quickly narratives can unravel. When she hosted a December premiere party featuring themed cocktails tied to characters from a story involving domestic violence, backlash from book fans and advocates was swift, highlighting what many viewed as a growing disconnect between her image and her actions. According to industry observers, this may push studios to be far more cautious about taking sides in future disputes until all facts are known. Blake Lively, once protected by her polished America's sweetheart persona, her fashion sense, blonde iconography, and a picture-perfect family, now faces a public whose sympathy has worn thin, with critics saying her credibility has been damaged by months of contradictions.